Hey guys, welcome back to the Paid Search Podcast YouTube channel. We're about to record our podcast episode number 78 here. I'm in a blue shirt with the blue tie. Chris is in a red shirt with the red face.
Contract.
Chris,
What? I don't have a red face.
I'm just kidding. I think it's your shirt.
It's reflecting.
Chris, did you do CrossFit today?
Well, yes. Yeah, I did.
You did?
Yeah, always. 5 days a week.
How's your spine? Is your spine okay?
It's fine. It's fine.
And your joints are okay?
Did about 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 squats. So I'm pretty tired today. Plus a mile run. So.
Are you angry? Like, what?
They are.
Like, what?
They are. They make me do it.
Honestly, Chris, like, were you a big kid?
No.
No,
small.
How I was wondering this the other day. Honestly, I was like, how long has Chris been into fitness?
Since I was in high school, started
Your whole
lifting
life,
weights. Yeah.
Were you like like I was that guy in high school? Like I was athletic enough to be on all the sports teams, but I didn't want to do it. I just want to work out myself and run. You're the same guy.
Yep.
I
joined band, but I worked out like crazy. Yeah, and ran all the time, but I did no sports. I just
just solo workouts yourself, but hard workouts. I was the same way.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, we are the same guy.
That's amazing.
R. Kelly wrote a song about the same girl with Usher. Like they didn't know they had met the same girl in Atlanta on different trips. They were both talking about this girl they had met, and they found out it was the same girl. And we're the same guy.
Okay. That's completely different.
Yes, 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 yes. Hey everybody, yes, 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 yes. Welcome back to episode number 78 of the Paid Search Podcast, your favorite podcast with two good-looking guys talking about all things Google AdWords and a few things Bing and Facebook. A little Facebook, Chris, won't hurt you every now and then.
Things Facebook. No things Facebook.
A little Facebook won't hurt you every now and then. Chris, you're looking good. Show them your shirt. Pull back. There we go.
Google. I got my Google. They don't even give these out. You got to buy these. I mean, I'm a Google partner. Long time Google partner.
Get us.
They don't even send
clients.
I paid for this.
Get us 300 clients. Run millions of dollars through your manager account, and then we'll give you some points. And maybe you'll be able to buy a T-shirt.
But the T-shirts, this isn't even the T-shirt as part of the Google Partner Rewards. Like,
you know
this
how
is
I know that?
bought.
Because I can't see your nipples.
Yeah, that's true. They're made.
Those shirts. We got to step up the game on those shirts.
Listen, Mountain View, I know you're listening. Get some better cotton. Good gosh. I mean, those things are so thin. I mean, I have to wear something over them. And then
Chris,
I have to cut out the square that says Google and then wear a shirt over it because it's just too exposing. I mean,
they have that business line called like special bets, and it's like satellite Wi-Fi for the entire world, curing cancer with a bracelet. Let's throw a couple $100 million into making a good T-shirt.
Just try. It's amazing. It's amazing what they can do with T-shirts and cotton and synthetics nowadays. I mean, whatever. Thanks, though.
Well, Chris, I'm going to start us off here. Last week, we started off with part one on building a new AdWords account from scratch and doing it live here on the podcast. I know there were a few people that liked that, but most of the feedback we got, Chris, was pretty negative. So we're going to stop that, and we're going to get back to
you are so full. Jason is kidding because you guys have loved it. And,
yeah, I'm just kidding.
I'm excited. I'm excited. Jason, what are we going to go back to? We're going to talk about ads and ad extensions. No, we're building this thing. This is part two of the Sweetums dental AdWords build out.
Part two, and if I'm not mistaken, Chris, before the show, you were talking about you're working out some things with some different people. We might branch this out into live management at some point.
Yeah.
I didn't want to give it away, but I figure let's plant that seed.
Well, there's an opportunity. We're still thinking about some ideas, but guys, this is phase one. We're going to address this. We got a comment from Dave on Facebook, and I wanted to talk about that. But essentially, this is phase one, and there might be some opportunities for us to go into the optimization process and talk about that, because really we're just talking about the pre-launch, and I say more than half of the AdWords process is following up after that enabled button has been hit. So, that's something we might explore a little later, but, to try to take it to the next level, double level, right?
I like it. So speaking of Dave on Facebook, Chris, before we get into keywords. And by the way, Chris, not only do we have to talk about keywords, very briefly, we need to talk about the location settings on the overall Dallas campaign. But before we do that, why don't you read what Dave, and I think he gave his company there on Facebook, asked you or asked us, and then let's give our response.
Yeah, so Dave says, basically, what happens when the emergency ad group takes all of the budget and there's nothing left for other ad groups like family or children? Would it make sense to break up the local into at least two campaigns, one for type and one for service, with equal sharing for location-based ad groups to share the budget? So basically, he's saying, you know, guys, there's a concern because what if one of these overtakes the other? And I wanted to bring this up because, Dave, it's a valid point. And basically, every AdWords build out is different. And this is essentially what I'm calling a rough draft. This is basically Jason and I's best guess at what might work. And keep in mind, this is a local dentist. You know, I work with a couple dentists, and $1,500 is kind of a lot for a dentist. You know, most of them are maybe closer to $1,000 budget, maybe $500 budget, because there's just not a whole lot of traffic, and you know they don't need to get a ton of clicks. They're looking for a moderate number so they can keep their leads coming in. So the fact is, what I'm building here, what we're building here, is a guess, and the next process might be that it turns out that we need to pull out one of the ad groups and put it into its own campaign because it needs its own dedicated budget. And secondary to that are the other ad groups. You know, so that is totally a relevant point. And here's the thing, and I think Jason agrees, I'm all for simplicity. I like things to be simple at the start, and then let's make them complex if they need to afterwards. But once you've done a bunch of ad group build outs and campaign build outs, it gets so monotonous, and you realize, all this work I did, sometimes it's just not for anything. You never know until you hit that go button. So
I agree, Chris. And I think Dave was from Pushfire, I think. Yeah. And I've seen a ton of their stuff online. So that was pretty cool to see someone from there reaching out. But I'm the same way as you. I wouldn't expect emergency to eat up a lot of the budget. But if in the event that it did, we would catch that very quickly. And just like you're saying, copy and paste a campaign, and in the new campaign, only leave on emergency, and then you can limit the budget that way. So I like your response there, Chris. Now, before we get into the keywords, let's talk about the Search Dallas campaign. Last week, we talked about the local campaign, which actually targets the Plano area. And Chris, this campaign is going to target the overall Dallas area, except for Plano, and this is for people who maybe live in a city that's around, or what were you saying? They live in Plano, but they're at work in Dallas when they do their search?
Right. Basically, all the cities that surround the Plano area is what we want to go after. So, people that are in the Dallas area, people that are moving out of the immediate Plano area, and aren't necessarily in Plano at the moment when they're doing that search. We want to capture those people at work.
And are searching only for Plano, though.
Searching specifically for Plano. That's right. We don't just put the word dentist, because then we would catch anybody in those areas. We're just looking for just people that are looking for back home dentist, Plano dentist, dentist in Plano, things like that.
And everybody can listen to the last episode. All the settings are the exact same as the other campaign. The main campaign, the only difference is the location settings. And if I'm looking at our settings here, Chris, which, you know what, we're going to post a screenshot, Chris, of the settings on the Facebook page so people can see the map there. But basically, you've got a circle around Plano that you're targeting different cities. You went with the city level, and you're not targeting Plano. So it's kind of like a little donut around Plano. I like
Exactly. And also, by the way, bit.ly/Sweetums Dental is going to be our official build out link. So that's bit.ly/Sweetums Dental. And you'll be able to see kind of how we're building this out week by week. If you can't find that, just go to our website, paidsearchpodcast.com, and you can see it all there.
All right, Chris. Well, we've done the settings, and the focus of this episode is going to be keywords. Now, you're more successful than me. You're more established than me.
That is the first time you've ever said that.
Well, I was thinking about it, Chris. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to trying to impress people, trying to get some business. Look at yourself. You just go to CrossFit. Did his shower? Did he just spike his hair? We don't even know. Yeah. He just throws on a T-shirt. So he's obviously very, very successful because he's very laid back about his appearance here.
Just a guy that likes to be comfortable. But go ahead.
Now, Chris, I mean, since you are the boss here, since you own 99% of this podcast, what do you want to? Where do you want to start with keywords? Like, how deep do you want to get into it? Like, do you want to talk about how you find keywords, how to think about keywords? Start us off here.
I actually have, I have a process that I'd like to share, and this is honestly how I do it. And Jason, I know that you've recently started doing this since I mentioned it to you.
I eased up. Yeah, I eased up.
So here's what I'll briefly talk about. What I used to do. I'd used to get a piece of paper out, and then I'd start writing ad group ideas, and then I would go through 5 or 6 different research processes, looking on Google, looking at related terms, using the keyword planner, using other research tools that might be paid or free. It was a grind, and in the end, I'd end up with hundreds of keywords, a massive build out, take hours of work. Here's what I like to do instead, and honestly, this works for 70% of the build outs that I do. Basically what I do is this. You already have the ad groups, right? In the link, you'll see that there's a build out of the skeleton of these ad groups. Go in there and add 1 keyword per ad group that kind of matches the theme. Okay, that's step 1. Add a text ad to that ad group. Okay, so now you have 1 ad, 1 keyword.
All right, let's give an example, Chris. Some of these, I've seen some of the comments we get. Let's start with weekend. So you're going to go in there. You're going to add weekend dentist, broad match modified.
Right. Don't just. I suggest don't even worry about match yet. Match type. Just go broad match. No pluses, no phrase match, no exact. Just put broad match.
What most advertisers and clients refer to as a keyword.
A keyword, right?
Just regular standard, broad match.
The only one there is, right?
Okay, so you add in 1 broad match keyword that matches your ad group. In this example, the weekend ad group, weekend dentist is your keyword. Then you add an ad, nothing fancy.
Right. So now make sure that the ad is pointing to the landing pages that you're going to use. That's one comment I need to make. Don't just point it to your home page. If you're going to use a specific service page or product page or something like that, or a landing page, make sure that ad is pointing to the correct page for each ad group. Okay, so now you have 1 keyword, 1 ad with the correct URL. Now there's a little red keyword button on the old interface. I'm talking about the old interface. Okay, I'm not talking about the new one. The new one's a completely different deal. I don't like the way that it works, and I continue to use the old interface for this purpose. There's a red keyword button. You hit that red keyword button, as long as you have an ad and 1 keyword in there, it can be broad match, it will immediately look at your landing page URL and your keyword and generate some suggested keywords broken up by topics.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. This is the easiest way to immediately add broad keywords in bulk. And here's what I do. I start clicking add on individual ones. I start scrolling. Ooh, I like that one. Ooh, I like that one. Ooh, I like that one. I just start adding broad. Do not worry about match type yet. Add these one at a time. Expand the next one. Expand the next one. Grab the ones that you like. Don't be too picky. You know, you can remove these later, but in the end, shoot for maybe 30, 20 or 30 per ad group. No more than 30, I'd say. And now you've got a layout of 20 or 30 keywords per ad group. And right. Today we're going to go through what we have, and you can download this and look at it on your own. But that's how I did this. Jason, and I know you do the same thing as well.
Yeah, and this is back on the keywords tab. It's a big red, button that says plus keywords, and if you put in weekend dentist and you point to maybe a page that says open on Saturdays on the website in the ad, when you hit that plus keywords button to look for suggestions, they're going to come up with keywords for you like dentist open on Saturday, family dental, or I shouldn't say family here, but dentist office open on Saturdays, dentists who are open on Saturdays near me. And they're going to give you
weekend dentists open. Yeah, stuff like
weekend
that.
Dentists open near me. And so they'll give you everything you need in terms of what you want. And then they'll also probably give you some stuff you don't want, like dentist open on Sundays. And so you just have to make a decision about what you want, what you don't want. But Chris, I don't know if you've tried to use the keyword planner recently on a new account that has not spent a ton of money.
Right.
And there's really no reason to get into this because there's no like hard documentation out there on this, but it sure seems like it's hard to use that keyword planner lately on brand new accounts.
I mean, I've moved away from the keyword planner because it's
so have I. For the most part, so have I.
It's just I'm not sure what they want it. I wouldn't even call it a keyword planner. I'd call it a keyword guesser or like a keyword maybeer or like a something, a keyword estimator. I just don't find a whole lot of value in it anymore. And this, I'll tell you, Mountain View, it upsets me that the new interface does not have this feature, because what they do is they take just all the keywords and just pop them all up at once. They don't sort them by groups, and this upsets me because this is a huge lack of organization in that suggested keyword process that I use, and I would completely use it if they ever sunset the old interface.
Yeah, if they get rid of this plus keywords button the way it works now, I'm going to be a sad person. Yes. Because both for new builds and then also ongoing management, finding new keywords, it really is one of the most powerful tools in Google. So Chris, I basically be doing the same thing here. I like the process. I think it's just so, I mean, it's better on both in terms of speed. You just get in there, tell the system a little bit of what you're looking for. And it gives you what you're asking for. And then in terms of just accuracy, again, if the keyword planner is actually firing and working, they're not going to give you all these keyword ideas. So I love it. So Chris, you've got a list of broad match keywords in there now. What's the next move?
Right. So you've got, I mean, I don't really want to go into, well, I don't know, Jason, I mean, what do you think? I had originally thought about doing match discussion in a separate podcast, but I guess we could talk about it here. And I'm going to give my thoughts for this specific campaign for this type of client, the way that I would approach it. And here's what I like. Jason's a smart guy and he's got his own thoughts, and I want you a smart guy, half of the smartest in this podcast.
If you ask me, have I ever met anybody who I think
where's this gonna go? Okay, so
I took that personality type, Chris. It was very revealing.
I know. It hurts sometimes. You reflect, you see yourself in the mirror, and you just can't go any further.
Yep.
All right. So here's what I think. My approach for each of these keywords, when you're building out these keywords, and I'm going to pull up the campaign. I'm going to look at one specifically. So I'm going to pull up.
Let's go to weekend. Let's stick with weekend.
Let's do the weekend. Okay, that's fine. So here's my approach, and here's how I build the campaign. What I want to have is I want to have some phrase and some modified broad in these campaigns. And the purpose is this. The modified broad, I'm going to have at maybe a little bit lower bids or maybe the same bids. It's at this point, it's just a guess.
By the way, on a brand new campaign, Chris, it is not a felony to have the same bids on broad match modified as you do phrase match. It's not a felony. Like, maybe it's not the best thing ever to be paying up for the same amount on broad match modified. But if you go out there and read some articles out there, people act like that's the worst thing in the world. And if your manager's doing that, then they should be fired and you should bring your business here. Like, on a brand new campaign, especially if they're very locked down, broad match modified with lots of words in the phrase, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. And by the way, you'll see this in our export here. These are not modified broad that are just, the word dentist, plus dentist. I mean, that's not what we're doing here. What we have is specifically weekend stuff. So dentists open on Saturday, and we have the word, the modified broad on the word dentist, open, and Saturday. And we have now this, I know, Jason, you may have some issues with this, but this is a 2 keyword modified broad.
A two word phrase. It's
two word modified broad. It's Saturday dentist, both of those have the plus in front of them.
Yep.
Here's the thing. Again, it's a guess, and I don't know what's going to work well. This is a risky chance, and I might immediately end up pausing it, or being much more restrictive in the bids and in that. But those two words in this campaign, the way that I approach it is, they're there to kind of test the waters, right? I want data. The second I turn this on, I don't want to wait 2 weeks before I get any kind of significant data. I want some impressions, and I want some clicks. The other keywords in the ad group that I have here are phrase match. These are things that Google has told me are commonly searched.
Using that suggestion plus keywords.
Exactly. Using that suggestion box. These are words that Google says have significant search volume behind them. They're not going to get a bunch of low search volume, which, by the way, if you go in and randomly pick keywords that you make up, you're likely going to get a bunch of low search volume keywords, and they're going to get nothing. Okay, so what I did is I picked suggested words, and I added phrase to those. So the phrase include dental clinic, open on Saturday. That's a whole phrase. Dental offices, open on weekends. That's a whole phrase. Dentist, open on Saturday. Phrase match. Okay,
these were suggested?
Yes, these were suggested.
Okay. And then you just made them phrase match.
I changed them to phrase match. So that's the process. A couple modified broad. This is the way I like to do it. Couple modified broad. Change some of the specific ones that I like the best to phrase match, maybe some exact match. But at this point, come on, this is a dentist. There's only so many ways that people are going to search for dentist, and
open on the weekend.
We'll see how it goes. Oh, yeah, specifically for weekend open.
Now, Chris, I think we can help people out here by just coming up with the Patriot Podcast rule on a new build. Is there any reason to have the same version of keywords as phrase and exact? Like, can't phrase for the most part get the job done? Like, you have dentist with Saturday hours phrase match. Do we need that in exact match? I would say I don't think you do when you start, right?
No, I don't think so. When we and that's the key phrase. You said when we start.
Right, because if dentist open in Saturday phrase match starts getting a bunch of traffic, you dig into the individual search terms, you see it's coming from all the conversions are coming from that one exact phrase as part of the traffic it's picking up, then you add that in as exact. What's so hard about that?
Yeah, I mean, who's the young lady that we always call out and shock to death? I forgot it. Like, she's over in Australia or something. The jerk boss that she has. I mean, here's just like her boss says. There's no reason. Or her boss says the opposite of this. There's no reason to have 50 exact match keywords. Your exact match keywords should be what I call the heroes of your keywords, right? These are the ones that are especially valuable, and you say, that specific one I want to call out and I want to test.
Dentist weekend dentist near me.
Yeah, weekend dentist in Plano. I mean, that particular phrase, until you have data on it, might be a hero, but you don't know that until you start getting clicks and conversions and looking to see. There's no reason to take every one of these and build out exact match, because you're gonna have tons of keywords and a lot of wasted time.
And here's the thing: is if you have 50 keywords instead of like 10 to 20, what if like 20 of those keywords each get one click? But then if you only had 10 keywords, like 3 of them would get most of the clicks, and you'd have more data to make decisions on quickly. So if I'm hearing you right, Chris, 10 to 20 keywords, a few broad match modified, and you modify every relevant part of the keyword. So dentist open on Saturday, you're going to have dentist, you're going to have open, and you're going to have Saturday with modifiers, but not the word on, because you don't care what anybody puts in there. As long as something says dentist open Saturday, the search is going to be relevant.
Exactly.
And then mostly phrase match to have high quality but still get a little extra, and leave yourself open a bit. So that's what you're doing with those.
Yeah, and this is a step-by-step process. We're in part 2 of this of this podcast build out. We have not talked about negative keywords, by the way. So don't, hang on. We have not gone into that yet. So we're going to be talking about negative keywords. That is a critical part of this, and we just haven't discussed it yet.
Okay, now Chris, I'm looking at our notes here to see what to talk about next, and we've talked about 90% of the notes, and I've come to a very interesting note here, Chris, that says, and I love the way you type, the way you think. It's like you're proclaiming AdWords proclamations from the top of the hill because that's where you live. You're the best AdWords person ever. Chris says, this will surprise some of you because it is a lot simpler than you had expected. Chris knew what was in everyone's minds before the show. No, but Chris, you're right. I mean, what else? I mean, do you want to talk about my problems, like how I'm dealing with my relationship? Like, we don't have anything else to talk about. Like, if you go into these ad groups, and here's a big thing, Chris, you have to have the ad groups right, because you have to come up with the first right 1 or 2 keywords. And by the way, if you're not getting the suggestions you want after you add in that first broad match keyword, add in 3 or 4 and see what Google throws up there. But then you click the big plus keywords button, and it really is as simple as scrolling down that list, adding in keywords. And if you do a few broad match modified, like Chris is talking about, you're going to get a ton of data anyway. And any keywords that you missed that's relevant to your ad group, you're going to be able to see on the search terms report.
Yeah.
Am I right?
This is great advice. I mean, yeah. Jason's playing me up, but Jason, I mean, you said it perfectly. I mean, that's exactly the idea. This is simple, but it's simple for a reason. It's simple because there's only one thing that you have to do in AdWords in the first week or 2, maybe the first month. You're looking for data. You're looking for those success points that you can build out on afterwards. And it as a new AdWords manager, I thought I had to do so much research to find those magic terms ahead of time before I hit the go button, right? Before the data was coming in. And I thought I had to find those and I had to have them ready. But here, I mean, I have story after story of how I did tons of research, and it turns out, wow, I was completely wrong. This is the total wrong kind of traffic.
Right.
And, in the end, I ended up going with what the numbers told me and not what my research told me.
So the ad group we've been using is weekend dentists. Like, people are looking for dentists on the weekend. I think we've decided that our dentist is only open on Saturdays and is off on Sundays because we only have Saturday keywords. We have broad match modified Saturday dentist, both parts of that keyword modified. And then if you wanted to, Chris, you can throw in there weekend dentist. If you have weekend dentist, Saturday dentist, broad match modified, you're pretty much going to show up on any kind of search that's relevant. You can make the argument dental office open on Saturdays, dental, the word dental versus dentist, but Google's playing pretty fast and loose with that modifier lately. And I have a feeling you still might show up on the word dental, but I guarantee you if I was to click that plus red button now, dental is in there and I would see it and then I could add it. If we had, really put more than a couple minutes into this, because this isn't like 100%, but it's 90% of the way there, Chris. I think an interesting thing to close here, Chris, would just go through some of these ad groups and just show people how kind of simple the keywords are. Like, we're not going too far off the base in terms of what the keywords are for the ad group. Let's start with the other campaign, Chris, so we knock that out, because there's some interesting ones in here. Again, this is people in the Dallas area outside of Plano who are searching for a Plano dentist.
Right. This is the Dallas campaign.
Yeah, this is a Dallas campaign outside of Plano, looking for Plano. So we basically have only broad match modified, because it's not that this is just kind of our side piece. This is our side campaign here. We've got dentist plus Plano, different versions of that. Plano dentist, Plano family dentistry, all the words in there are broad match modified. And then we've got zip codes, Chris. So we looked up the zip codes of Plano and we put those in there with the word dentist, broad match modified.
Yeah, exactly. Now, and here's you wonder, how is this going to look afterwards? And Jason, I know you well. I know as well as me that what you're going to end up seeing is a bunch of one-click, one impression results for things like this. And that's the reason why we have modified broad, because I think there's a statistic out there of Google saying, 80-something% of the searches in the past 90 days had never been seen before in the previous 90 days or something like that. There's some kind of statistic. Wow. Basically what they're saying is that a large percentage of the searches are not things that you can even predict are going to be searched because they're unique. if you're running an AdWords campaign, go to your search settings, or excuse me, your search terms, scroll down to the bottom, click past all the, the ones that have, 500, 600 impressions, go past the ones that have 5 impressions, go all the way down until you see 1 impression, 1 click. You'll be amazed how many pages and pages and pages you'll go through, because people search so different. The highest percentage of searches are going to be one-time, one-click type of searches. And, that's how this campaign is built out. It's predicting that right now we can't guess those things.
It's so funny, Chris, because a lot of people go to their phone and they type in like a dental office near me, and it's almost we're in awe of Google being nice to it, like please show me a dental office. And then I see searchers sometimes from certain parts of the country, and it says things like give me dental office, like they use give me as a word the way they like type into their phone, like calm down, like
different.
Give me dental office. You can find a ton of stuff there, but Chris, just to and everyone is going to be able to see these keywords at the link and see what the keywords we're talking about here. But I just want to convey how powerful that little plus keywords tool is. You've got the children ad group. So what comes to my mind last week is like, okay, Chris is going to target keywords like kids dentist, dentist for children. But there's this word I would have never thought of for dentistry, because I don't have kids, and dogs don't get their teeth cleaned, or at least mine, that often. Pediatric, Chris. I would have never in my wildest dreams gone to the keyword planner and typed in pediatric, and they wouldn't have shown it to me. But by clicking the plus keywords tool, there's hundreds of keywords here, and a lot of them are about pediatric dentistry. And that just shows how I don't run a dental office. I've never worked in one, but if I have a dentist client, I'm going to figure out all the ways people search for things and the way they talk about their own business by just using this plus keywords tool. It really is kind of like the secret sauce of what we do in a lot of ways.
It is.
This is a huge tip. And by the way, Chris, I didn't even use this that much until like a few months ago when you started talking about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
And then I think you've started using it more and more.
Yeah. Once I realized that, I told you about it and I said, Jason, I've been doing this because it's so much faster. And then, you were like, oh, that's interesting. And then I started realizing this is not just faster. This is like
better,
so much more practical, so much more useful to do than keyword research, because keyword research, like you said, you have to go in and type these things and think about these things. So, and here's, I don't know if you have anything else to add, but I think this is kind of tie it always. But I have one thing to tie all this together. Here's the thing: I talk to a lot of business owners and people that have been managing their own AdWords campaigns, and CEOs and bosses. And here's the thing: this may hurt, but business owners, salesmen, you're horrible at picking your own keywords.
Yep. Because
you know your own industry. I talked to, recently a guy that owns a dental laboratory. Okay. And it's always interesting because clients have a hard time visualizing what kind of keywords they need. And I rarely rely too much on suggestions, because they often get, so caught up in the language that they think that people search, because they're so unrelated to their clients. They're so deep in the industry, they can't pull themselves out of that extended knowledge and be able to search on a layman's type of terminology.
Right.
And the thing is, you have to find those terms, and the best way to find them is to rely on these, larger scale guesses, and then pull it down to what works.
So don't tease me here. What was going on with this dental laboratory guy?
Well, instead of something like dental lab, instead what seems, this is a brand new account, but what seems to be working are things that are specifically related to the implements that the people need done. So abutment, I've learned, is a term of a type of tool that someone uses to this is awful, but like when they drill the screw into the bone of your jaw and then seam it, and then put the crown on top of that screw. There's different names for the screw, the abutment, the anchor, and all these things. So instead of just dental laboratory, which was getting tons of crap traffic, instead what we go after is dental abutment manufacturer or dental screw manufacturer, or things like this that work so much better because they they're in the head of the consumer instead of in the head of the business owner himself.
Right. Yeah. I'll give you an example. I work with the Office Coffee Company, which provides office coffee services for other businesses. And they're always wanting to target words like brown roast, like just like a brown Jamaican roast, delivery and stuff. And I'm like, okay, even in a city like New York City, no one's searching for that. The guy is sitting in his office, his employees, he hates their guts, but they make him money, so he keeps them around. And they keep asking for coffee. And he's like, back in my day, we didn't get coffee. I worked in the coal mine. Like, what is this coffee? But then his assistant, who's been with him for 30 years and knows all his secrets, and she kind of translates between him and the staff. She's like, no, Jim, we coffee is something that people expect in an office in 2017, along with rights and fair pay and overtime and stuff like that. But yeah, they expect coffee. And he goes, okay, just get it done. And then he fingers his keyboard like, and he goes, coffee. Office coffee. And that's how people search for it. So you got to think like a customer here. And luckily, again, this Plus Keywords tool, it thinks like a million. It literally thinks like 6 billion customers, or however many people are on Google. It's all that knowledge that Google gives us. So if you want to see these keywords, Facebook, the website, whatever, right on the podcast in your player, we're going to have links to the updated spreadsheet to keep track of everything. The main point is to use the suggestion tool, the Plus Keywords tool. Chris and I both think it's good to start off with primarily phrase match keywords. They're going to be enough to give you a lot of volume, but they'll keep the quality high, and then mix in some broad match modified to get a lot of traffic and get a lot of ideas, and keep it 10 to 20 keywords that are kind of closely related to the ad group. Is that a fair assessment of the episode, Chris?
Absolutely. I think we'll go into a little bit more about match type as we might explore this a little bit further. There might be some instances when we use exact match, but I think you're right. I think we could leave it at that, and 90% of the time, that's going to be the case.
And here's the thing, everybody. You can ask us our questions. You can say like, "Wow, I thought you guys did things way deeper than this." Sometimes we do. Sometimes we've worked in industries over and over and over, and we have a preset list of keywords that are like super detailed and like tons of exact match and all that. But this is like to help everyone out there get started. Yeah. This is a great way to get started, a great platform to copy and to use as a good base to what to look for when you're building out an AdWords account, Chris. And Chris, I can just tell you, this isn't the most detailed build out, but this is like a million times better than what you and I see when we go into a client's account to audit it for the first time.
It's organized. It has a thought process. It has a purpose behind it, instead of just buckshot throwing out, 500 keywords and maybe some of them will stick. And they're all broad.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. Like what you're saying, there's a purpose to this. There's a base, there's a platform. It's going to be loose enough to get you data and get you the volume you want, but it's tight enough to keep the traffic quality decent, good, right up front. And exactly. Chris, I see so many accounts. It's just like, it's so hard for you and I and a lot of our listeners to wrap our heads around, because we're in this and we don't see what the masses are doing out there. But when a lot of times you take over a client's account for the first time, it's all broad match, Chris.
Absolutely.
And that's just not going to get you the results that are possible. So this is a great start, a great base. We appreciate your guys' feedback. We are going very deep on this. Chris, next week, we're going to talk about negative keywords.
Yep.
We're going to make negative keywords for this dental client. Oh, by the way, we haven't told the joke yet, Chris, so I'm going to read the mama joke that you texted me last night.
No, you're not.
Okay, I'm not going to read that, but at least say something funny about Sweetums Dental or whatever this TV show is. Like, people want to hear you talk about this insider thing that I have no idea about. So, Curb Your Enthusiasm. What's this show called, Chris? Sweetums.
Go back and listen to the first episode if you want to know. But this is Parks and Recreation. You haven't gotten any people telling you yet to watch Parks and Recreation?
No, because they just dropped the jokes. Like I already know what it is. Like how could they just assume I've watched it? Your mom. Well, what did you say?
No.
Your mom is so ugly. Okay.
No. We're gonna end it right there. So no, we're gonna skip that. We don't want explicit on our podcast. The little red button won't look very good. So, all right. So thanks for listening.
Why don't you take us out here, nervous Chris? Chris, when you get nervous, your just ability to make words.
I know,
but your ability to make sounds continues at the same pace. So you're
true,
like,
no, don't say that.
All right, take us out here, nervous Chris.
All right, thanks. All right, last thing, guys. This is a live build out, so we appreciate comments and questions because just like we did with Dave, we'll address these as we're building this out. You know, I want to talk about this, and it's a discussion that we want you guys to be a part of. So hit us up on Twitter and Facebook. Let us know what you think, and we appreciate you listening. You can always find us every Monday and every other day between that. You can always find us at paidsearchpodcast.com. We're on Twitter and Facebook, but you already knew that. So thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.